Grand Rising. Happy Friday. We are going to be reading from The Science of Getting Rich. It's a pretty old book by Wallace Wattles. Grand Rising, everybody that's joining us. Let's see, when was this written? Science of Getting Rich, everybody. It is our birthright to have money, to be happy. I don't know when the hell this was written. Anyway, we're gonna go to chapter 5. But before we do that, my sister studied with Bob Proctor. Before he died, she studied with Bob Proctor. He would even have her teach some of his lessons, which was amazing. Love from the UK. What an amazing, powerful being that taught people how to live their most expansive life by manifesting through using their mind, right? Using their thoughts. And this morning, and when I talk about I am so happy and grateful, that is Bob Proctor. I am so happy and grateful that, fill in the blank. So I am so happy and grateful now that I have multiple streams of income coming to me in increasing quantities on a daily basis. Leo's with my sister. I am so happy. So this is today's little notes or homework for the many of us that have a poverty mindset. And it's not on purpose, right? We're taught this program of having a poverty mindset, unfortunately. We live in a state of victimhood. We live in a state of jealousy or envy of someone else because we don't understand why does this person have so much and I don't. It all has to do with your own mindset. It all has to do with the way that you think and the things that you believe about yourself to be true. If you don't believe that you're worthy of having a certain amount of money, you will never have it. If you're always looking at someone else like, must be nice that this person has this. For example, anytime, like there was a post about Sherman Oaks in California, there was all these mudslides and all these houses were ruined because literally the mountain just came tumbling into their houses. It just completely leveled these homes. The comment section. So I immediately go to the comment section. There are so many people that say, well, who cares? They have the money to fix it. Must be nice to live on a hill. Now their house is ruined, but they have the money to fix it. All these comments were along those lines. And that right there tells you where people's mindset and focus is. It's on lack. They are saying something negative about the misfortunes of other people because they don't have what these people have. Oh, their pool's ruined. Well, they can fix it. They have the money to fix it. Who cares? Why would you feel bad for them? So because people have something that you don't have means that you can say bad things toward another person or even wish harm on others. Well, they have the money to fix it. If a person gets in a car crash in a Lamborghini, oh, well, they can just always get a new car. Where is the humanity in humans anymore? We come from a state of lack. Therefore, when someone has more than us, we have no empathy for them. How does that make sense? I can feel bad for a person that's homeless, but I can't feel bad for a person that was in a really dangerous car crash because they have a really expensive car. That mentality is sinful, it's dark, it's low vibrational. Is that the way that you see life? Is through lack? And for many of us, the answer to that is yes. So this affirmation, if anybody has a pen and paper or wants to text it down, put it as a reminder in your phone every single hour. I am so happy and grateful now that I have multiple streams of income coming to me in different quantities on a continuous basis. I use something very similar to that when I lived in LA. And I told you guys this many times, living off of a dancer's salary. So my affirmation was an overabundance of money flows freely to me through my talents. And I would forget to do it, and I would forget to do it. And then I'd be in a position where I'm like, shit, I need to make more money. And then I would say an overabundance of money flows freely to me through my talents on a continuous basis or every day. And whenever I would do that, I would say the affirmation, I would repeat it out loud. I would say it for over an hour or whatever it was. If I was driving, an overabundance of money flows freely to me through my talents all the time. And then later that day, maybe an hour later, maybe the next day, somebody would say, I have a makeup job for you. There's a dance job coming up here. Do you want to take it? So when we use our mind to change our outlook on life, we change our reality in life. Guys, you're quiet today. Nobody's commenting. Is everybody asleep or what? So we're going to get into the science of getting rich. We are starting at chapter 5 today. Let's get my little notebook out of the way. And this is called Increasing Life. Guys, everybody's asleep today. What's up? Okay, we're listening. Fine. You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a God whose will it is that you should be poor, or whose purposes may be served by keeping you in poverty. Isn't that what religion teaches us? Ben, I know it's early where you are. Religion teaches us that it's virtuous to live in poverty. That's why I don't believe in religion, because it's a man-made construct that is deemed to keep people helpless and powerless. You must get rid of the last vestige of the old idea that there is a God whose will it is that you should be poor, or whose purposes may be served by keeping you in poverty. The intelligent substance, which is all, and in all, and which lives in all and lives in you, is a consciously living substance. Being a consciously living substance, it must have the nature and inherent desire of every living intelligence for increase of life. For increase, Ben, I appreciate that. For an increase of life, are we all living in our most expansive selves and our most expansive lives? Or are we settling for a mediocre life and this is just the cards that I was dealt? For many people, that's programmed within us because we have parents that think that way. We had grandparents that thought that way. So this is just the way it is. But that's not the truth. If we're all living our greatest and most expansive lives, we are having, the whole world is settling. I mean, yeah. If we're not expanding, we're either staying the same or becoming smaller. If we're not expanding and growing, we're either staying comfortably the same or even making ourselves smaller. And some people that are really into their religion truly believe that we shouldn't have a lot. They truly believe that we should not have a lot and that poverty is virtuous. But if God creates and has created infinity of resources, infinity of life, infinity. Why would he not want the same for our human experience? I thought about this last night at some point while I was up in the middle of the night, that every time we reincarnate back into another life, we get to borrow a body. We get to feel around life in this body. And our soul has this experience for its expansion. Our soul is experiencing human form so that when it goes back to where we came from, our soul is expanded. And then we come into another life, in another body. Maybe as a man, maybe as a woman, maybe as an animal, maybe as someone with a disability, maybe as someone that chose to have an illness because their soul needs to learn something specific from that specific lifetime. And with that being said, when we come into this body that every single one of us is in right now, Are we expanding in that lifetime as much as possible? Benny's in here. He was paralyzed and could not walk, but he saw with his own eyes, with his own imagination and consciousness, I'm going to walk again. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to walk again. And slowly but surely he started to walk with a walker. Then he walked with a cane. He's right here. And now he doesn't need anything to walk. And he walks miles a day, every single day, because he saw it. He saw it in his mind. Marissa, I don't know if she's in here this morning, pushed past paralysis. She's been paralyzed, I think, her whole life. That doesn't hinder her. So we could choose to be victims of the reality that we're creating or the reality that we chose to live in this lifetime. Benny's up to 3 miles every day. Or we can expand in this lifetime. How can I be bigger today? How can I be bigger going forward? Instead of limiting myself with my own thoughts. It's not anybody else that's keeping me down. It's myself. If I don't have the things that I want in life, it's not because of my boss is mean. It's not because I just wasn't hired for this. It is about yourself. It is about what you believe to be true about yourself, that the energy going out is the only energy that can come back. If you're limiting yourself and saying, no, I'll never have that position. That person, that job is just too hard. Or I could never do that. It's just too difficult. You're only getting back what you're thinking and putting out. It's just a mirror. Relationships. I'm always cheated on. I'm always left. Those thoughts and beliefs are only going to be reflected back to you in the people that you choose, in the partners that you attract to yourself on that same vibrational frequency. So if we're on the vibrational frequency when it comes to money, that you don't feel worthy of having a job where you can make $1 million or $10 million or $25 million a year. Or you don't feel worthy of a job where you can make double of what you're making now. Your reality is only going to reflect that to you. It's not because you're unlucky. It is your belief and vibrational energy that you are emanating from you that is boomerang back to you. So the only way to change that is to change your thought process, to change the way that you think about money. Get rid of the old programming that money just doesn't come to us. Our family just is poor. We're immigrants from another country. We've never had money. It's too expensive. I can't afford that. One of my really good friends, she obviously doesn't listen to my lives. She said, oh, I can't go to dinner. I'm broke. I'm broke right now. My head almost exploded. I didn't even say anything to her because my head almost literally fucking exploded. Because I'm like, do you realize what you just said? And I didn't say this to her because I was like, I'm not even getting into it. It was late at night. And I was ready to text her and say, do you realize what you just said? I am broke right now. Oh, I just realized I'm so broke right now. I can't go to dinner. When I hear people say these things, I literally lose my shit inside. And most of the time I say something and I'll say, do you realize like what you just said, but it was just late and I was tired and I just didn't feel like getting into it. But we don't even realize the habits that we have or the things that come out of our mouth because it's such a deeply ingrained belief that like I never have enough. Like maybe I'm doing good now, but I know eventually if I spend this money that I'm not going to have it. You're still coming from a state of lack. But if you say, I am so happy and grateful that money comes to me in increasing quantities on a daily basis, and that is your basis for your belief system, you know that no matter what, I am always provided for financially. I am so happy and grateful that I have multiple streams of income coming to me on a daily basis. We see the difference. We see the difference in, oh my God, I'm so broke I can't go to dinner. I will never have that problem ever again in my lifetime where I say, oh, I would love to go on that trip. I can't afford it. Yeah, I really need to go and grab food, but it's too expensive. I'll just cook at home. Never. It'll never happen again in my lifetime. Why? Because my belief that money is always provided for me, that the universe always provides for me, that God always provides for me is so deep that I can afford to give money away to people if I have to. That I could spoil someone, that I could buy all the things that I want. It's not about materialism. It's the idea behind, or the mindset behind, why can I always have these things? Because I believe that I'm worthy of it, because I believe that money comes to me easily. When we believe that we have to work hard to get money, we're always going to have to work hard to get money. But when you believe money is so easy to make, I'm a money magnet. So do you go to dinner? I go to dinner all the time. Of course I go to dinner. Of course I do. More out of laziness than anything else, though. I don't really like to cook that much. And every time I cook, I ruin another pan. So that's another story. That's another story. Okay. I haven't been to a restaurant in 3 years because I choose to prepare meals. Ben, that's the smartest way, though. And I'm not saying, to go out to dinner all the time. It's not about that. It's about the underlying belief that I have. If I want to go to dinner every night, if I want to eat breakfast out every single day, I had the means to do that because I have the belief that I am always provided for. And that didn't happen overnight, that type of mindset, because I was in the mindset growing up in a household where both my parents fought with each other for everything was about money, fighting about money. So that became my programming. And I'm like, oh my God, like I have to ask my father for this, or I have to ask my mother for this, like when I was a kid, because I knew that it was going to be an argument. Go ask your father. I don't have it. Go ask your father. My dad, I would ask my father. Dad, I need money for dancing school. I don't have it. Go ask your mother. So it was a constant battle. That money is so hard to come by. And that becomes your belief system. And then that becomes what your bank account looks like. Money is hard to come by. My bank account reflected that. I danced for 20 years of my life I don't know if that math is right, but I danced for most of my career from when I was 17 until when I was 32 or 33 or 34. I danced to pay my bills, and money was always hard to come by. If I make this amount, if I work this many days or nights dancing, then I would have X amount of dollars for this, right? Because we get into that habit. Let me just see. But where do I lose that programming when I'm in the middle of that struggle? Because I also can't live and buy things in delusion either. So it happens in your mind first. Just like if you want to paint your wall, that happens in your mind first. You see it in your mind like, oh, I found this really pretty blue color that I'm going to paint my wall. It's imaginative first. The same thing with money, the same thing with love, the same thing with everything. You see it in your mind first before you go to sleep at night. You say, I'm so grateful that I have so much money that I don't even know what to do with it. I'm a money magnet. If you start to switch your mindset, money is going to start to come to you from the craziest places. Like literally the craziest of places. I told you guys this story before, and many of you probably didn't hear it. I manifested $5,000 in like 3 hours because I was doing this exercise. What the hell was his name? I love this guy. He's an older guy. Robert. Okay, never mind. I'll think of his name. Robert something. But I was watching one of his videos on how to attract money. And he said we did this visualization. It was like a 20-minute video, and went into like this meditative state and did this meditation and did these affirmations about, money, something, whatever it was. So my sister calls me and she's like, do you have our business account, the PayPal login for PayPal? We literally haven't been on that PayPal, and I want to see if there's any money in there. I was like, I don't know. I had to like go through and change the password or whatever. This is literally like 3 hours after I did this exercise. And she said, we just need more money to pay off our credit card bills from our business. So I was like, all right, I'll look in there. She's like, there's probably like a couple $100 in there. I was like, okay. So I finally figured out the password and everything. Lo and behold, there was $5,000 something in this PayPal account. Like, seriously, what are the odds? Because we're like, we just haven't checked the PayPal. So I literally manifested $5,000 in a matter of a couple of hours. So when you start to have the belief that you're always provided for, there will be signs everywhere that show you, I got your back. And it's a reprogramming. It doesn't happen overnight. Like, someone doesn't just wake up and say, okay, I'm a money magnet now and I'm ready to receive. I mean, you do wake up like that, but the reality of it happening so quickly because of those deep beliefs, and those deep beliefs within us are what our vibrational energy is that we put out. So when we shift that, all of a sudden it's going to be like, you might find $1 on the ground. You might start doing these affirmations and it's like, oh, you look down and there's a quarter. You look down and there's a $20 bill. You're like, wow, that's weird. Or you're out somewhere and you're buying a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but people do. Maybe you're out buying a cup of coffee and the person in front of you says, get whatever they want and just pay for it on me. Just a random stranger. These are things that start to happen when you begin to change your mindset around money. You change your beliefs around money. You change your beliefs about yourself, about your worthiness. You could say, I'm so grateful that a random stranger decided to buy something for me. I'm so grateful that I found something on sale today. Whatever it is, when we start to shift our mindset, our reality begins to change and things just literally show up. They show up in your reality. I go off on tangents. Let's see what time it is. I have an energy healing session today. So that'll be good. Okay. Where are we at? So a seed dropped into the ground springs into activity. I think I read this before. Springs into activity and in the act of living produces 100 more seeds. When you drop a seed, like if you eat strawberries and you pick out some of the seeds and you decide to plant those tiny friggin' little seeds from a strawberry, you water it, give it some sun, all of a sudden, little leaves start to sprout up. And then before you know it, you have strawberries. Like, what more miraculous can things be, right? So when you plant a seed in your consciousness with the intention that everything comes to me in increasing quantities. Money comes to me in increasing quantities on a daily basis. That's your seed that you're planting. And you water it by reaffirming that every day, every hour. Put a reminder in your phone. Money comes to me in increasing quantities on a continuous basis. And so every hour it goes off, you see that on your phone. You see the affirmation on your phone. Slowly but surely, you're starting to see small signs of things. All of a sudden, someone says, oh, I had this present for you. I never gave it to you. Random things are going to start to happen and shift. And those are what your signs look like when your energy is shifting. When you realize, I thought about this yesterday, and now this happened to me today. And every hour, you're getting that reminder on your phone that's saying, money comes to me in increasing quantities on a continuous basis. And just random things show up. Someone you might have go to the store, you're buying all these things, and the person at the cash register might say, oh, there's a coupon for that. You can get it for free. And then you just got something for free. Right? Whenever I go to the gym to go to my yoga class, it's like Grand Central Station. There's never a parking spot. So as I'm going to the gym yesterday, I'm driving there and I'm like, there's going to be a perfect parking spot because it was freezing yesterday for no reason. I'm going to find the perfect parking spot. So I'm driving up to the thing and I go to turn. And there's a person waiting to also turn up the same aisle to park. And that person was there before me. there's a guy walking out of the gym with his wife, and he points at me, and then he points at the parking spot. And then the other person starts to move forward, and he goes like this. And then he points to me, like no to that person, and points to me. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This guy literally just comes out of the gym and is like, this parking spot is for you. And it was right up front. The other person was there before me, but this guy literally was like, no, it's for her. I didn't know this guy. He was an older guy. He was walking with his wife. And then he pulls out of the spot, and he drives next to my car. He rolls down the window, and he's like, how are you today? And I was like, I'm better now that you just gave me your parking spot, so I'm not late to my class. He was like, yeah, no problem. And I was just in the car, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it was just so random. But when you start expecting things like this to happen, you notice that they start to happen like all the time without you even like thinking about it. My dad's in here. Hi, Dad. So I just got a random parking spot because I was like, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm just going to get a great parking spot. And some guy literally saved a parking spot for me. Dad, I'm talking about having a money mindset. So let's skip to a couple pages. And okay, get rid of the idea that God wants you to sacrifice yourself for others and that you can secure his favor by doing so. That's what our religion teaches us. Our religion teaches us that poverty is virtuous. There ain't nothing virtuous about being poor. God requires nothing of the kind. What God wants is that you should make the most of yourself for yourself and for others. And you can help others more by making the most of yourself than in any other way. By every single person on here, you can make the most of your life and help others just by being your greatest expansive self. By being successful. By having enough money that you can literally give it away to people. Right? When we start to think with an abundance mindset, abundance comes to us. And then what? You could donate to that rescue to help animals that you always wanted to. You could help somebody in your family that's having a difficult time financially. Let's read that again. God requires nothing of the kind for us to think that poverty is virtuous. God wants us to make the most of ourselves. Okay, example. If we believe that every single one of us is God's son or daughter and that we are part of the God consciousness, that means that God is within us, experiencing human life through us. But if we're literally sitting there saying, I just can't afford this, and having this victim mentality or a poverty mindset all the time, you're not giving God the greatest and most expansive experience of life. So if God wants to experience life through all of us, wouldn't he want to experience the greatest, our greatest selves? There's no judgment, but living in a poverty mindset is only a programming. I talk about this all the time. We all came from immigrants, except for the natives that were here. And that mentality is passed down. I always talk about my great-grandmother that hid her money everywhere. They hid money in their pillowcases and in their shoe boxes and in behind their drawers and under their clothes and in pockets because they always thought that eventually they weren't going to have money. So if they were running out of money, they always hid it somewhere else. Because the mindset was, we don't have enough. But when you literally think every day, I am always provided for, always have everything that I need and more, that energy is only reflected back to you. Why are you going to spend all this money on this car? Why are you going to do this, and go on this vacation? You should save your money. That comes from a space of lack. That comes from a space of fear that I will not ever have enough. I'm broke right now. I can't go to dinner. If you're listening right now, please know that your words are your wand. If you say I'm broke and I can't go to dinner, your reality is going to reflect that. If you constantly are thinking in your mind like, oh my God, I'm just not making enough money, like, how am I going to do this? Your reality will reflect that to you. Until you shift and change and know that you're always provided for. I have more money than I know what to do with. And now I can help other people because of that. Facts, Ladybug. I needed to be reminded of this. Everybody needs a reminder of this, right? Your words are your wand. That's Florence Scovel Shinn. That's a quote from her, and she was in the era of Neville Goddard. But literally, what we say and what we think and what we believe is what our reality is. You will never be wealthy with a victim poverty mindset. What a lot of the wealthy do is they have other people spend their money for what they want to accomplish. So many of these celebrities in Hollywood that have their own film projects or their own passion projects that they want to do, they don't ever reach in their pocket. The majority of them don't ever reach in their pocket to fund it. They find investors and people to fund their projects. So their money never leaves their account. They're just smart about how to utilize other people's money. I'm so grateful for all the abundance coming into my life from the universe. Put that statement in a reminder on your phone hourly so that you're constantly reminded of this, because our mind just wants to revert back to what it's comfortable knowing. I can't afford this. It's too expensive. I don't want to spend this money. If I spend this money, then I'm not going to have money for X. But if you literally say sentences like that over and over again, you're starting to reprogram. Because that's the way the mind works, is through programming, is through repetition to program. A, B, C, D, E. We had to do that over and over again until we learned our ABCs. It is a program. It's repetition. Investors are everywhere in the business of things. That's what they do. That's not the point. The point is that many wealthy people don't use their own money. They make someone else's money work for them. It's kind of obvious that that's investors do. What they do is they invest money, but that wasn't the point of that. You can make the most of yourself only by abundance. So it is right and praiseworthy that you should give your first and best thought to the work of acquiring wealth. It's literally only a state of mind. You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created. You do not have to take anything away from anyone. You do not have to drive sharp bargains. You do not have to cheat or take advantage. You do not need to let anyone work for you for less than he earns. You do not have to covet the property of others or to look at it with wishful eyes. Why not? Because everything is created in the mind first. When you look at somebody and are envious of them, you are coming from a state of lack. Why don't I have that? Why do they have that and I don't? Yeah, it must be nice that they have so much money. Must be nice to live on a hillside with a pool. When you say things like that, you are only coming from a state of lack, and that state of lack and victimhood is only reflected back to you, showing your reality, showing you your reality. Wealth starts in the mind. Doesn't start in your pocket, doesn't start in a bank account. It starts in your mind. Wealth is a state of being, just like love is a state of being. The book is The Science of Getting Rich. You are to become a creator, not a competitor. You're going to get what you want, but in such a way that when you get it, every other person whom you affect will have more than he has now. Everything that you create will help someone else have more than what they have now. For example, my retreats, when I started doing my retreats, which I am going to be planning the next one. I'm going to be teaching down in Tulum in May. So I'll give you guys dates if you want to come and do the boot camp down there. But in creating my retreats, I created, so what I created will help every other person. It'll affect every other person to have more than what he has now. So how did I do that with my retreats? I chose different speakers to come and infuse people with their knowledge, right? So no matter what it is that you are creating, you're going to help someone else to be better than what they were. Even if you opened a friggin' paint store. Wow, you just made it so much more convenient for someone to find the perfect color paint. The science of getting rich. Not the signs, the science. SCIENCE. If you open a child's daycare, you are making someone else's life easier by giving them a trusted place to take their child, right? Everything that you do or decide to do that is bettering yourself and that is expanding yourself is also going to better and expand someone else. Stop by, Kelly saying hi, sugar. You're welcome, Connie. I am aware that there are those who get a vast amount of money by proceeding in direct opposition to the statements in the paragraph above, and may add a word of explanation here. Individuals of that type who become very rich do so sometimes purely by their extraordinary ability on the plane of competition, and sometimes they unconsciously relate themselves to substance in its great purposes and movements for the general upbuilding through industrial evolution. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, etc. have been the unconscious agents of the supreme in the necessary work of systemizing and organizing productive industry, and in the end their work will contribute immensely towards life. We're not going to read about those people. But he's just saying that it is a mindset, that wealth is a mindset. The Rockefellers, all these people have this crazy amount of wealth because they understand the science of getting rich. They know how to use their mindset. We are not taught this because we wouldn't need government. We wouldn't need anything because we would be able to do it all ourselves. Government, religion, all of these institutions teach us to be less than what we can possibly be through fear. Propaganda, news media, all these things want to keep the population smaller so that they can be easily controlled and manipulated through fear. So, I got to go to my energy session, and I hope that this was helpful for people through the science of getting rich. It's a small book. It's not a big book. It's pretty small. But you change your mindset, you change your life. Everyone here is already so blessed, and many of us don't realize this, but you're here and improving. Yes, exactly. So we're all here expanding together. If you're listening in on this live, you're expanding. Because we're expanding our thoughts, we're expanding our thought process. When we expand our thought process in the right direction, we expand our lives for the better. Yes? So I am going to go to my energy practitioner, and I will see you guys on Monday at 9:30 for Manifesting Mondays, and I will repost this in case people didn't see it. Have an amazing day.